Before anything else, understand this. Your energy is one of the most valuable resources you have, not your time, not your money. Your energy. Because everything you do, every decision, every thought, every emotion draws from it. And yet most people give it away without noticing. They react again and again to words that don't matter, to opinions that don't shape their future, to moments that will disappear within minutes but leave exhaustion behind for hours. This is the story of how Parsa learned to stop doing that. For a long time, Parsa believed reacting quickly meant he was aware, sharp, alive. When something bothered him, he answered immediately. When someone crossed a line, he defended himself. When life felt unfair, his mind argued with it. He thought this was strength. He thought this was engagement. But underneath, something was slowly breaking down. Parsa woke up tired even after sleeping. His mind felt crowded. Small things irritated him more than they should have. Conversations replayed in his head long after they ended. His body was tense for no clear reason. It wasn't one big problem. It was thousands of small reactions, stealing pieces of him every day. Psychology has a name for this state: chronic emotional reactivity. It happens when the brain treats too many stimuli as significant. The amygdala, the brain's threat detector, becomes overactive. It fires not only for real danger, but for tone of voice, facial expressions, imagined judgments, delayed replies. The body enters stress mode again and again without recovery. Parsa didn't know this yet. He only knew that he felt constantly on, as if life was something he had to respond to at all times. One evening, after a minor disagreement that left him unusually drained, he sat alone and noticed something important. The event itself had lasted minutes. His reaction had lasted hours. His thoughts kept feeding the emotion, and the emotion kept feeding the thoughts. Nothing external was happening anymore, but his nervous system was still acting as if that was the first crack in his understanding. Modern neuroscience shows that the brain doesn't calm down automatically after emotional activation. It calms down when it receives a signal of safety. Reacting, arguing, justifying, replaying often tells the brain the opposite. It says, "This matters. Stay alert." And so the stress continues. Parsa began to ask himself a quiet question. What if I didn't react? At first, the idea felt wrong, almost dangerous. His mind warned him that not reacting meant losing control, being disrespected, missing something important. This is normal. The brain prefers familiar patterns, even harmful ones, because they feel predictable. Reacting had become his default coping strategy. But psychology also tells us something hopeful. The pause between stimulus and response is trainable. It's not a personality trait. It's a skill. So Parsa experimented. The next time something triggered him, a careless comment, a frustrating delay. He did nothing, not permanently, just for a moment. He noticed the sensations instead, the tightening in his chest, the urge to speak, the flood of thoughts explaining why he was right. This practice is called interoceptive awareness, the ability to feel internal states without acting on them. Research shows that simply observing bodily sensations reduces emotional intensity by reactivating the prefrontal cortex, the brain region responsible for reasoning and self-control. Within seconds, something unexpected happened. The urge weakened, not gone, but manageable, like a wave that rises, peaks, and falls if you don't fight it. Parsa realized that emotions behave differently when you don't chase them. They pass faster. They leave less residue. As days went by, he noticed patterns. Most triggers were repetitive. Same themes, same fears, same need to protect an image of himself. Cognitive psychology explains this well. The brain uses schemas, mental shortcuts, to interpret reality. When you react automatically, you reinforce those schemas. When you pause, you interrupt them. Parsa wasn't becoming passive. He was becoming selective. He started asking himself another question. Does this deserve my energy? Not, am I right? Not, should I win? But, is this worth the cost? This shift changed everything. Many situations resolved themselves when he stayed neutral. People softened when they didn't receive resistance. Tension faded when it wasn't fed. Silence, he learned, is not emptiness. It's space. And space allows clarity. There's strong science behind this. Emotional contagion research shows that intensity needs reciprocity to survive. When one person disengages emotionally, the system stabilizes. Calm is regulating. Reactivity is contagious, but so is composure. Parsa noticed that when he didn't react, he felt more grounded afterward, less drained. His thoughts were cleaner. His sleep improved. His focus returned. This wasn't coincidence. Chronic stress consumes glucose and oxygen in the brain. Fewer emotional spikes meant more cognitive resources for creativity, learning, and problem solving. He also noticed something deeper. Not reacting gave him back a sense of agency. He wasn't controlled by impulse anymore. He could choose. This is a core principle in self-determination theory. Autonomy increases psychological well-being. When your responses are chosen rather than automatic, you feel more aligned with yourself. Parsa still felt anger sometimes, still felt hurt, still felt disappointment, but he no longer treated emotions as commands. He treated them as information, signals to be understood, not obeyed. One moment stood out. Someone tried to provoke him deliberately. The words were sharp, almost rehearsed. Old Parsa would have reacted instantly, explained himself, defended, escalated. Instead, he paused. He felt the familiar heat rise and then fade. He responded calmly, briefly, without emotional charge. The interaction ended quickly. Later, Parsa realized something powerful. The real victory wasn't that he won. It was that he didn't lose himself. Psychologically, this is emotional regulation at its highest level. Not suppression, not avoidance, integration, feeling fully, responding wisely. Over time, people began to describe him differently: calm, grounded, hard to shake. But Parson knew the truth. He wasn't unbothered. He was disciplined with his energy. He learned that reacting is easy. Anyone can do it. But not reacting requires strength. It requires trusting that you don't need to prove yourself in every moment, that your value isn't threatened by every stimulus. That peace is not weakness. The brain changes with practice. Neuroplasticity ensures it. Each time Parsa chose not to react, the impulse weakened. Each pause strengthened new neural pathways. What once felt difficult became natural, and slowly life felt lighter. Not because problems disappeared, but because fewer of them entered his mind. Parsa understood something most people never stop to learn. The world will always offer triggers, always. But you decide which ones become part of your inner life. Your energy is finite. Protect it. Invest it where it grows you. And remember, not reacting doesn't mean you don't care. It means you care enough about yourself to choose clarity over chaos. And that choice, made repeatedly, changes everything.